Sell, or hodl.
So, as I said at the top of the show, normally in Buy, Sell, or HODL, we take you through specific stories and give you an idea as to whether or not it's a bullish sentiment or a bearish sentiment. But this week, we're going to play Buy, Sell, or HODL as a game. So, we're going to first look at some Ethereum killers, and you'll be able to, kind of pick up what we're putting down in terms of how this game is played. But there's a very similar real life game that I'm not going to try to actually say on this podcast for fear I'd get fired. Again, you really don't like me to swear on the show. So I really do my best, man, but like sometimes Gary Gensler pisses me off and then we have to bleep me in the aftermath. But again, Ethereum killers. So you see three on screen right now. We're talking about Solana, Avalanche, and Polkadot. You have to assign a buy, a sell, and a hodl to each of these. Okay. So you can only use buy once, sell once, and hodl once. So let's start it out. What do you think? How are you going to place your buy, sell, and hodl across these ETH killers?
Buying Solana. I am hodling Dot, and I'm selling Avalanche. And you know what? Not a real big knot against Avalanche. I need to spend more time researching and getting more into it. I know the basis of what they're trying to accomplish, but I just haven't spent nearly as much time as I have in Solana and Polkadot. And that's how I'm going to just basically attack that. But Solana, I'm getting as much as possible because I think Solana legitimately has one of the best opportunities to come in and disrupt Ethereum, especially after I've used the platform multiple times for different projects and have sent myself transactions and seen how fast and cheap it is. And then Dot, same thing. The ecosystem that they're building is just so massive, and the upward opportunity. Like you literally have the one of the lead developers from Ethereum who saw all the challenges leave, create Dot, and said, "Here's how we're going to make it better." And they've literally just been doing that from the ground up from day one. So that's how I would call it. But how about you?
Yeah, look, I have to give a lot of props to the good Dr. Gavin Wood over at Polkadot. I think that after doing an inordinate amount of research into interoperability through the last like 6 months, uh, both Polkadot and Cosmos are going to be here for a very long time. We are so early in that project's development, but I think Polkadot's going to be here for a very long time, and for that reason, I'm hodling on Polkadot. I will continue to secure the biggest bag possible there. But the other two, I think of in the more of a short term sense. And with that in mind, I'm selling Solana because I personally believe that it's gone on a hell of a run and it's time to take profits. And I'm going to continue to buy and stack AVAX as far as I can because everything about AVAX is what I see in Solana in terms of like the quality of the development and what that platform is built to do. But in AVAX's case, it's also built multi-chain. So that's like the one thing that Avalanche has on Solana in terms of like they're they've added that component in, whereas Solana does not have a true multi-chain or an interoperability play yet. But to me, that's how I put it out. So I'm going to sell Solana, buy Avalanche, and hodl Polkadot. But let's move on to our next, shall we? Next up is talking metaverse real estate. So we have three options here in the Sandbox, Decentraland, and Crypto Voxels. But let me preface this is strictly land. Okay. Yeah, of course, you can go and invest in the Sandbox and Decentraland or buy Crypto Voxels NFTs, but we're talking about the land. So, Richard, buy, seller, hodl, Sandbox, Decentraland, Crypto Voxels.
Man, I'm going down the line on this one, man. I'm buying as much sandbox as I can. Just it's becoming a big player. It's starting to get a lot of amazing partnerships in the space, and you're starting to see some of its land grab for an outrageous amount. Decentraland's a hodl for me. That it still has a lot of partnerships already created. There's already been a lot of the land that's already been bought and being resold at an outrageous number as well. If you got into Central Land, the plots of land in like 2019, 20, like man, you could have really dominated that and been sitting on a gold mine right now. And Voxel's been around for a long time too. I think it's really cool. I haven't heard as much within the ecosystem. So for that, I would sell crypto voxels, and that's how I would play that. How would you go about it?
So for me, it's a little bit different. I think that I'm going to probably hodl on the Sandbox. I'm going to buy Decentraland and I'm going to sell Crypto Voxels. Only reason that I take that approach is just because I think that Crypto voxels has a very limited scope, and they're also attacking the same exact market as the sandbox. So I think it's very limited. I think that Decentraland has a ton of upside, and you want to see where that develops into. But um, yeah, I think both have really big opportunity. You could honestly flip that buy and hodl any which way you want. I just think the crypto voxels is limited. But before we move into our last buy seller hodl, I want to throw it over to chat real quick. We had two great questions come in, and normally we would have covered this earlier when it came up, but we're managing a two-person show right now due to a unfortunate happening for our producer Chris, who is flying up north right now and had some plane trouble apparently. So Ray, you asked us in chat, do you think the Bored Ape takeover is related to the higher resolution? Which is a really interesting question to me. So Richard, do you think that Bored Ape taking over has, anything to do with the graphic resolution?
Um, I don't think so. I think it has everything to do more with the experience and like what it means. So like, you know, if you look at some of the, even like Odell Beckham Jr., you go on his page right now, he has a CryptoPunk. But then you go to some other famous people and they have Bored Ape Yops, and it's all in the perception of what it means to own it. And right now, it's kind of more OG, more like I'd say kind of a bigger statement of like I own a CryptoPunk. Whereas like if you own a Bored Yop, it's like, oh, I'm cool because like I'm part of like this cool group and we go do exclusive stuff, and like it feels like more of that like we're gonna go and do things. Whereas like a CryptoPunk's kind of like having a rollie where it's like, yeah, you have like other people who own rollies and it's really cool. And you have like this really exclusive one. Whereas, Bored Ape Yop kind of feels like to me like you're part of like literally like a, a tennis club, like the most exclusive one ever or whatever. And now because of it, you get to travel the world and go to the best tennis clubs ever, right? That's kind of how I look at the difference.
So we talked about artifacts a little while back. Can you get into that for a second? Like explain why CryptoPunks hold their value right now as opposed to the value behind apes?
I mean, it's one of the originals. It's one of the very first ones that came out on the platform and got some notoriety, right? It goes back to the whole concept of why crypto was made in the first place. Like you had the I think the Daft Punks that came into the space where some of the first reasons why Bitcoin and crypto is being used was for I want to say like some shady stuff, if you will, but it was giving a lot of power to the people and a lot of anarchists and other stuff like that. And it was like a representation of like the original intention of why crypto was made in the first place. So it's like a call to like that remembrance. Whereas like it's the old age of like this is what we're really standing for. This is what this is what was meant to liberate and free us from the regular monetary system that's out there. So it's like it has like a lot more of that historical and like meaning to that. Whereas Bored Ape Yap is just truly like a hey, here's this really cool, amazing, exclusive group. Only the coolest of the coolest kids get in, and once you're in, you don't ever want to leave because we're gonna make it so awesome that you're here that you never want to leave.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good summation on it. Again, like I think that the differentiator there is that artifacts are really just like you wanting to say that you have one of the most historical pieces, and projects like apes, it's like it's an access token. It's there to give you an experience more than it is to give you a picture. But we do have one other question from the chat. Ray, we hope that answers your question. Please let us know if you want more clarity on it later. The other question we had was from Cold Data. I'm assuming that's how you want us to pronounce your name, sir. Um, Asking, how about H bar?
So we can unpack a lot about HBAR. I had a great conversation with the CEO, Dr. Lehman, a while back, and what they're going after is a longer term play, but it's going to be essential to ultimately how data is transferred across blockchains and interoperability and everything else. And right now, HBAR has kind of been like in this threshold of support and trying to break through both support and levels of resistance. I think as we kind of go into this next bullish cycle, and even as we go into this bear market, I don't know that it's necessarily going to fall off a cliff. And that's really what you want to see for a lot of the companies and things that you get into, that you're getting into projects that are retaining their value. Because what's going to happen is people are going to wake up and realize what they're creating and how it like feeds into everything else. And you're going to see this explosion start to happen. So I'm bullish on H bar. I think it's a great long term play. I don't think it's just ever going to be the super sexy. Oh, it's up 50%. Now it's up 70%. Like, I don't think we're going to really see that kind of action happen probably into the next bull cycle, but it's still going to be a steady and like really good. Like, I call that like that's a hodl play for me. I think right now H bar is a hodl play.
So I think I want to leave it at that because, oh man.
Breaking news.
Niantic Labs, the group behind Pokemon Go, has just announced they're planning on debuting a metaverse. Guys, like they're the biggest project in AR development. The biggest project in all of AR development is planning
Oh my gosh.
on doing a metaverse play. What is going on? Okay, they have Pokemon Go, sure, but they also have the IP to do their own Harry Potter thing. They have the original game that they developed where you can like go on treasure hunts and stuff like that. This is man, man, let me tell you something.
Metaverse. Oh my gosh. Are they selling land? Because if they're selling land, you get as much as you can. Oh my god. Or whatever. And it like, can you imagine? They're turning all these like Pokemon Goes legitimately into like a Pokedex. They're only gonna have a finite supply of certain Pokemon, so then you exclusively have them, and you can act. That's nuts. That's nuts. That ecosystem's gonna be nuts. Whatever token that is gonna be insane, bruh.
Yeah, I can't.
Wow.
Um that's insanity. So
Wow.
I'm just perusing the report real quick because the press release literally just hit the wire on this one. But this comes after an investment hub just made a $300 million investment in the company, and based on the closing of that investment, it's giving Niantic Labs a $9 billion valuation.
Oh my god.
Again, a centralized company, $9 billion valuation. That's a big deal. I'm not trying to downplay it, but grand scheme of things, if you compare that to the sandbox right now, well, you see where the money really is. But I'm worried about the centralized future of metaverses. I really hope that Niantic does open things up a bit. But in terms of the way that they are AR mapped, nobody's tech is better than them, period. Okay, there's another platform out there. And yes, if you're on this team, we want to have you on the show. But I've played with your tech. It's not Niantic. It's a platform called OVR, and they're trying to be a decentralized version of Niantic, and their AR mapping is just not there yet. Just isn't. If you go play
Yeah.
Pokemon Go in the wild, like it works pretty flawlessly. It's really well done. The graphics are really well executed, and they've done that for their other two games. Again, in the Harry Potter one, then Ingress, which was their first one. But
But it
and
to that point really quickly, it's because they've had the time and the money and the
oh
resources
yeah,
and the people to test the crap out of it. I mean, when Pokemon Go first came out, what, in 2017 or 18,
um,
everyone downloaded it. Like, everyone.
yeah,
And so they got to learn very quickly, like, how to make adjustments and they fix like it was like their growth trajectory went like this, and then it fell off a cliff, and then it kinda, like, stabilized and has been ticking up ever since, but, like, the reason that they're gonna go dominate is because they've been able to figure this out.
again in the metaverse, one thing really does dominate, and that's IP. So I hope that they do open this up. It would be incredible to see Nintendo and the Pokemon Company like actually do metaverse assets. It'd be a very progressive move on both their parts. I hope that they follow suit with
It's gonna
Niantic
be
here.
centralized. You already know it's gonna be centralized.
You,
You know it is.
I know it is, but I have hope. That's the scary thing.
I'll take that.
Because again, like, dude, like Elio Trade says this all the time. Like, gaming is going to eat crypto. It's not going to be the other way around.
It's already happening. Like,
Yeah.
you look at some of the biggest gainers in as altcoins this year, games.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
And we're
NFTs have done really well, but you can look at some of these gaming, alts that came out that have just, like, legitimately 1000x'd.
oh yeah. And
Insane.
again, it's only getting started. It is only getting started. Like the Sandbox and Decentraland are both in the top 50 right now. Engine will be there, like rest assured, and Immutable X is going to be there too because we need scaling solutions that are specific to NFTs. Anyway, we've gotten totally away from this buy seller hodl segment. Let's get back to this real quick and close this thing out. Oh, what do we know? We're talking about NFTs now. Great. So, buy seller hodl, Gambling Apes, the Doge Pound, and Lazy Lions. Where do you stand?
Man, I am nah, same thing, man. I'm buying Gambling Apes because the ecosystem that they're building out right now is super cool. You literally will be able to use this ape to go and like do online gambling, go to in-person gambling events, which I think they had one back in like September, October, where you could literally by having one go to Vegas, enter it was a poker or blackjack tournament, etc. You'll have like strategic ones you can do throughout the year. Really cool. The price is already starting to shoot up because people are already starting to see like the ecosystem that's being built there. Doge Pound, I'll let you speak to that one a little bit more, but like I'm hodling that one just because they have a lot on their roadmap that they're trying to build out. Lazy Lions, I'm selling it. I'm selling it. I'm selling it. I know people are loving it and that the floor price keeps going up, but that's a sell for me.
Look, dude, there's so much going on with Gambling Apes. There's so much going on with Gambling Apes. And like, dude, they're doing a metaverse casino. Okay. Like they released a trailer for it the other day and it looks incredible. Like they have the entire architecture of this thing already built out. You can go into it and play. Um, but beyond that, I think one of the things that impressed me most about Gambling Apes and what they're doing right now is that they're being really proactive about bringing on additional team members, and they're being really transparent about it too. Um, that is super encouraging to me. So I will go ahead and say that to me, just because of that, I would agree with you. Gambling Apes is my buy. The Doge Pound is my hodl, just as you said. But it's because they're so ambitious and their following is relentless. I think I'm doing a hodl on that one because to me, it's a little bit out of my price range at this stage of the game. Um, in the picture, though, you see the puppies. Apparently, utility announcement is coming soon for that one. So if you want to take that as a secondary, like buy junior, because it's a puppy, maybe buy the puppies, but definitely hodl the Doge Pound. And I'm selling Lazy Lions because I think they're obnoxious. It's really just that simple. Like I'm not just saying that because like I have to place a sell somewhere. Like I really don't like the way that Lazy Lions come across on Twitter. And NFT Twitter is a real thing. It's way, way, way bigger than crypto Twitter. As much as like you want to think crypto Twitter's everything. Yeah, I'm selling Lazy Lions. But look, that'll wrap up Buy Seller Hodl for us this week.